Hi, everyone. My name is Allie McConnell, and I want to thank you for joining our daily ride dedications tonight as a part of Texas 4000 for Cancer's 2020 Summer Ride presentation by Abbott. At Texas 4000, before every ride, we take a moment to remind ourselves why our mission to fight cancer is so important by making ride dedications for those we ride in honor or memory of. We invite others to share a ride dedication for those they love who in their lives have been touched by cancer, so we can ride for them too to keep us going. Do so by commenting on the Facebook live stream or YouTube live stream. Ride dedications serve to fuel us each day in our journey and let us know we are not alone, that so many people's lives and lives of their loved ones have been affected by cancer. So here's a short little video explaining ride dedications more. In summary, just feel free to leave a comment below. We will read them out loud and we will continue to ride this morning and it will fuel our journey. So before we begin, I want to introduce three other riders today. The first one's going to be Alex Franklin. She is a Rockies rider this year. The next one's going to be Abraham.
Morning, everyone.
All right. And then we're going to have Abraham join us as well as Emily.
Hi. So yeah, I guess if anyone watching this has any ride dedications, we would love to hear them so that we can keep them in our thoughts when we're riding today. For me, that's a really big part of why I joined Texas 4000 is that it's allowed me to do something greater than just be riding for the people that I know and love that have experienced cancer. But for me personally, I joined Texas 4000 in memory of my aunt who passed away after my sophomore year of high school. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, in the fall of my sophomore year and fought really hard for 9 months, but unfortunately passed away that summer. And that was one of my first big experiences with cancer, and just seeing how it really just took away so much of not only her physical abilities, but also some of her mental capacities too, was really challenging. And I would love to just be able to ride for hope, that everyone going through that and their families just is able to have a hope that for healing, but also even if healing kind of isn't possible, just that they can heal in other ways other than just physically.
Yeah, so I'd also like to give a ride dedication. I was recently put in touch with Shelby, or Karen and Ross Jennings, and they've been supporters of Texas 4000 for a while. And it was really cool. I got to hear Karen's story. She's actually a cancer survivor. She beat thyroid cancer back in 2012. So I like to ride for her and her family, as well as their friend, Bruce Barron, who recently passed away of bladder cancer.
So yeah, so we have a ride dedication coming in from Chris. Thank you for typing that out. We will definitely be writing for your teammate's dad, Mark Carlson, battling glioblastoma, and that's awesome that his MRI is showing some positive results. Yeah. Alex, I don't know if your sound is working, but if you want to share maybe why you ride or why you first joined Texas 4000.
I think it just started working.
So yes, yeah, we can hear you.
We'll see, but I think today I really just want to ride for hope, because especially in times like these, I feel like everyone really needs some hope. A big reason why I joined Texas 4000 is because I thought it'd be an amazing way to give back to my community and to really make a positive impact on people. So yeah, it's a big reason why I'm here today.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have another ride dedication from Eric, riding for the would-be host in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. There's so many awesome cancer survivors, cancer fighters, and cancer victims there. And our team is so bummed that we aren't going to be visiting the beautiful state of colorful Colorado, but we're really excited to be virtually riding for all of those in our Steamboat Springs community virtually this morning. And again, if anyone's watching, we would love to read your comments there, what fuel us for this early morning ride. So please keep sending those in.
So I have another ride dedication. This one's for Kirat. She was a UT student who graduated last year, and unfortunately she passed away of leukemia last Sunday. So I'll be riding for her and her family.
Yeah, and then we have a ride dead coming in from Andrea, riding for her good friend Trevor and his parents. His dad passed away from cancer and mom from ALS, so definitely riding for Trevor. And thank you for sending that in, Andrea. Yeah, so I guess what's been really cool about this org too is that while I, joined because I had known those in my life who had cancer, I think that this org has really brought kind of, I don't say the tabooed subject of talking about cancer, but it's been a really cool opportunity to just start having those conversations about it. And I think being in Texas 4000 has kind of been the gateway to start a lot of those conversations that haven't otherwise necessarily been just people haven't been the most open about. And so I think it's really cool that so many people have or not cool, but people have pretty much everyone has a connection to cancer. And I love how Texas 4000 has just really created such an open dialogue for that conversation. So I guess going off that, one of my best friends, one of her really good friends' mom passed away at the beginning of this summer due to breast cancer. And she had been battling it for years, and I hadn't known anything about it just because I feel like cancer doesn't, it's kind of a sad and harder subject, so it's not really brought up lightly. But in doing Texas 4000, it was a really unique way to just start that conversation with her and to be able to be a little bit of her healing process.
I think building off of that, I personally feel like I'm amazed every time I go out and meet people in the community, seeing how selfless people are, how willing they are to give to others in need. And that's actually a huge reason why I joined Texas 4000. I was just amazed how strangers are just helping out other strangers without expecting anything in return, just selflessly. And I wanted to do that as well, which is why I joined this org.
I think another reason I joined was the volunteering aspect. I really enjoyed having that connection with my community and getting to meet a lot of the people that I now ride for and really just making that impact. And I think it's an amazing part of this organization that we have.
Yeah, and I like to give a plug for Be the Match. If you haven't registered, please register. It's very easy and it could potentially save a life. If you end up matching with someone, you don't have to pay any costs at all. Be the Match will pay for flights, airfare, hotels, whatever it is. So definitely register for it. It's no cost to you at all. So if you're interested, search up Be the Match.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be sharing more information about that this next weekend on our social media pages and also doing some live streaming stuff. So if Be the Match, which is the the International Bone Marrow Registry, is something you're interested in, we highly encourage tuning into those, and we'll be doing Q&A sessions and giving out some more information. So we have one coming in, the Weberling, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, family in memory of their son Hans. We'll definitely be writing for him this morning.
Hey everyone, I'm back. Did a change of scenery. So have we gotten into why y'all decided to ride or any ride dedications y'all have? Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do ride dedications mean to you as a rider? Like, how do you use ride dedications going into a ride? If you have any stories about that you would like to share.
Yeah, I think it just is a really good way to kind of set the tone for the ride. I think sometimes, waking up early or a ride is something I feel like I'm squeezing into my day, and I kind of come into it with a really selfish headspace. And I think ride deads always kind of pull me back out and remind me of why I signed up for this org. It's so easy to be, caught up in your own life. And I think ride deads too, it provides a lot of perspective. And also I'm not naturally a biker. And I think when, you're going up those hills or it's 101 degrees, it's those people that I think of who we've done ride deads for that get me through it. Like, as hard as, I may think pedaling is, I can't imagine how much harder fighting cancer is. So it's just a really good, I think, mindset, and for me to be able to be biking for something greater than just myself.
Yeah, building off of that, I feel like it's a huge motivation. So comparatively, I feel like biking is not as hard as fighting cancer. And every time I hear these stories, it provides me that motivation. So when I'm out on my bike and I'm going up this hill and I think I can't do it and I want to stop, I want to quit, I think of all these people that I'm riding for. and it gives me that strength and the motivation to push through it, because if these people can do it, then I can definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Ride Deads are a big motivating factor for me, and I think they've gotten me through almost every ride, helping me push myself to think about who I'm doing this for and why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so another one from Andrea, writing for her friend Riley and her family. That's awesome that her mom beat breast cancer, and then also writing for her friend Izzy and Izzy's family, who's the father of the family passed away from cancer when she was in high school. So thanks for sending that in, Andrea. We'll definitely be writing for Riley and Izzy and their families this morning.
As a personal ride dedication, if you don't mind riding for, one of the reasons I signed up is for my friend Rachel Grant. She was a camper and classmate of mine, and so I've just been thinking about her a lot during this virtual ride. So
Yeah,
riding for her.
definitely will be writing for Rachel.
If you have any ride dads, remember to comment them below. Especially for our Rockies riders, we're about to hop on in a few minutes to do an hour of cycling, and we will have a special guest on the stream as well. So, Alex, I'm curious, while we wait for another ride dad to come in, what is your role in Texas 4000 as the leadership?
Oh, I'm one of the Gears chairs, and Gears, not the fixing things chair with like the mechanics and stuff. I don't do that. Gears is the mental health committee, and so our acronym is giving everyone a reason to smile. So we really focus on how we can support the riders through this, and just finding resources for them, and acknowledging that this is hard, but we can do this, and we just gotta support each other through it.
Another ride dad coming
Got
in.
another one from Chris.
Sorry, Allie, do you wanted to read it?
No, yeah. So Chris is saying that yesterday was National Cancer Survivors Day, and we're thinking about all of the cancer survivors in our life, in your lives, and we want to ride for all of them. Thank you, Chris, for that one.
Yeah, and I think that comment just really speaks to our pillar of hope, and how being in this org has allowed me to just hear so many survivor stories, which is so encouraging. People that were given pretty bleak diagnoses, and how they beat that has just been something that fuels me up some of the biggest hills we've ridden.
Yeah. Do y'all have any particular ride dedications that have stood out to you this year?
I can't think of like a particular person, but I think ride deads, and just kind of hearing people talk about their family or friends week after week, and just being able to walk that walk with them, I think has been really encouraging. And I was talking about this earlier, but I love how ride deads kind of opens up the conversation of cancer. So maybe you don't know the person well enough to personally check in with them every day, but ride deads kind of is a platform that allows us to talk about those harder things. So it's been really cool to hear about people beating cancer, even if I've never met them and they live 1,000 miles away, but they're close with someone on our team. So it's really cool to kind of kind of be a little tiny part of their journey, even if they don't know who I am.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Abraham, do you have any particular ride dedications that have stood out this
So there was
She
one that
event
was
that
really
she's going?
impactful. There was one that was really impactful. I never got her name, but I was out fundraising one time, and this woman who I had never met before came up to me, gave me a huge hug, started crying, and at first I was a little taken aback, but once she stopped crying, she told me about her story and how she was a breast cancer survivor. And I never caught her name, but I like to think about it every once in a while. And she was telling me about the strength she had to get over it. And I think she's 5 years cancer free right now.
That's awesome. And yeah, I think that's been another really encouraging part of this org for me. I do panhandling. That's been a really big role of fundraising for myself. And it's just really encouraging to see like total strangers, roll down their windows, donate to a cause in the 30 seconds of the traffic light and, have this list of people that they want you to ride for. And I think that's just been really encouraging that, total strangers have been so vulnerable with me. And, trusting me with some of like the deepest, most painful parts of their heart. I think it's again been really cool just to like, have those interactions even with people who, names we don't know, who we'll probably never see again, but to be able to, be able to ride for those people in their lives. I have so many little names written on sticky notes or, on torn off pieces of paper that someone, scribbled down really quick during a stoplight and handed to me. And I, ride for those people as if I knew them. So that's been another really cool thing.
I think for me, panhandling has definitely been a big part of my journey through T4K and a big part of my fundraising. And the people just on the side of the road that you meet have really opened my eyes. Like I never imagined that complete strangers, like you were saying, would be so open with us and, so trusting to tell us some of the hardest things for them. I think it's really amazing that we get to connect to the community in that way, just like on their morning ride to work, they get to talk to us for, one stoplight. And I've always thought that was really cool.
For those of you who don't know and have maybe seen us around the Austin area that are watching, Texas 4000 as a form of fundraising, we actually will go and panhandle. So we stand on the side of the streets with big posters, and we just try to interact with the community in that way. We've met a lot of amazing people. I think every one of our riders has a panhandling story that we just find so incredible, that a stranger has gone out of their way to donate to our cause, but also it just shows that everyone who passes by and donates usually has had someone affected by cancer. Someone who's been affected by cancer or has been affected by cancer themselves. So it's a great way to interact with our local community in Austin.
Yeah. Are y'all looking forward to riding this morning? And we have another ride.
I'm excited to see y'all go.
For Maria. Her dad is starting treatment tomorrow, so definitely riding for him and riding for all that are undergoing treatment right now. And then another ride done from Eric, riding for Chris Condon.
Another big supporter, Eric.
Yeah. Riding for our founder and cancer survivor, has had a huge impact in the fight against cancer in the Austin community, and has put in so much tireless effort to keeping Texas 4000 the awesome nonprofit that it is.
I know we're about to get started in a few minutes. So do any of y'all have a few last minute ride dedications? Or anyone commenting, feel free to put them below as well.
We've got one from Jody Hopkins. Please ride for my dad and brother, Jim and Jim, both cancer survivors, and we'll be riding for both of those people.
Yeah, and if anyone has any more ride dedications or is just now hopping on, please feel free to comment those during our live stream ride. They're, again, the things that fuel us, so we'd love to see them come in while we're riding. So before we start, just want to say thank you for joining us this morning and for sharing your ride dedications for the loved ones in your life who have been touched by cancer. Every day we continue to ride for you and those you love, and we are really working towards a cancer-free world, hopefully. We would love if you would stay tuned for our live broadcast of indoor cycling with us and some other members from our 2020 team. You can make ride dedications by commenting on our Facebook or YouTube live stream, and you can donate to Texas 4000 to support the fight against cancer by visiting Texas 4000 at any time. And again, we'd like to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor, Abbott, and to all of our sponsors for our 2020 summer ride. And from Karen, thank you for writing. So thank you so much for your encouragement. Definitely we'll be writing for any of those in your life. And yeah, we love that we can be doing this during these times that are very stressful for a lot of people.
Good morning and welcome back. We are excited to have you here with us on Monday morning as our Rockies routes get started on their virtual ride. So we are very lucky this morning to have a special guest to help host us and to chat with our riders as we go. So feel free to throw any questions that you have into the comments for our riders or for, again, our special guest host. So I'll be bringing in Daniel Cooley. He is one of our board members and Chief Strategy Officer at Silicon Labs, an Austin-based chip design company. And Daniel is also a UT alumnus. So good morning, Daniel, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Shelby. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, Daniel, I'm going to pass it over and bring in those riders. So they have just started cycling this morning, so we are excited to have them. Again, I'm going to be bringing in Alex, Emily, and Abraham.
Hey there, Alex, Emily, Abraham. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see everyone here, and thanks for getting up early and working out with us here on Monday. So welcome to everybody else who's watching today. As most of you know, Texas 4000 is a nonprofit organization that cultivates student leaders and engages communities in the fight against cancer. Our cornerstone event is an annual 4,000-mile bike ride from Austin, Texas to Anchorage, Alaska. It's a long way. This year, there are 78 members of the 2020 team, and they have been preparing for and training for this life-altering event, but it was forced to be canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic that's out there, and we had to make the heartbreaking decision to not do that ride. But the pandemic, may have brought the world to a standstill, and cancer rages on, and so does our ride. So for the month of June, the team is riding to Alaska virtually. We're incredibly excited about this plan and proud to share it with you here. And we've invited Emily, Alex, and Abraham today to talk to us about what they're doing while they're riding. I hope that they're able to get some words in while your questions are coming in. So please post some comments and the questions, and I'll relay them to the riders as we go along. We're already starting to get some comments come in from folks. Thanks for joining, everybody who is on the live chat here. We got on Facebook and on YouTube today. So I'm seeing so many folks post already. But why don't we start by introducing the riders a little bit more. We'll start with Emily up there. Emily, maybe you can tell us your name and a little bit about the route.
Yeah, hi, I'm Emily. I'm on Rockies along with Abraham and Alex. And so this is the route that, as the name indicates, follows the Rocky Mountains. So this summer we are planning on going Texas to New Mexico, up Colorado, over to Utah, into Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, and then up through Alberta, British Columbia, and the Yukon Territory. So all beautiful places in the Rocky Mountains. Some highlights are some bigger cities being Santa Fe, Denver, Salt Lake City, some really awesome national parks. So super bummed that we can't obviously be there in person, visiting some fantastic hosts and meeting some awesome members of that community and doing some really cool hospital visits. But really excited to be able to be riding virtually and to still get to interact with them.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Why don't we take it next to Abraham? Are you outside in the Texas weather here, Abraham, or are you somewhere else?
Yeah, so I'm out here in sunny Austin, where I think it's already 90 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe why you joined Texas 4000?
Yeah, so my name's Abraham, also a 2020 Rockies rider. Just graduated from UT with a degree in accounting. And so I originally joined Texas 4000 for my grandfather. His name is Farzan Ali Khan, and he's been battling a chronic form of leukemia. So I originally joined for him.
That's great, and thanks for being here, Abraham. Why don't we shift it over to Alex now? Alex, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and why you joined the ride.
Hi, my name is Alex. I joined Texas 4000 because I thought it would be an amazing way to support my community, and I also joined for my family.
Yeah, I have a similar story that I'll share with you guys in a little bit. So, Alex, is that the actual bike that you're going to go on this ride on? Is that what you're on today, this morning?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so you guys bring in these trainers, And I know you do a lot of training over the winter months as well, when maybe you can't get outside very much. Is this what you typically train on in the winter?
Actually, no. Usually we still ride through the winter outside. But because we've gone virtual, a lot of us have gotten trainers so we can do this live Facebook stuff and really connect with the communities in a new way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you guys a little bit about me and why I joined Texas 4000, if that's okay. So I like Shelby said, my name's Daniel. I'm on the board of Texas 4000. This is my first year on the board, but actually my history with Texas 4000 goes back to 2003. So I went to UT. I'm a UT alum, a Bachelor in Engineering. Yeah, hook 'em. Got my shirt here. Electrical engineering, and I was there when we actually started Texas 4000. So I was good friends with Chris Condit, or still am good friends with Chris Condit. And back in 2003, when we were coming back from the summer, he came to me, and he was a double E student as well. And he came to me and he's like, Daniel, I've got this great idea. And I was like, what is this idea, Chris? He's like, we're gonna go on a long bike ride, and we're gonna do it for cancer, for charity. And at the time, there was a few charity bike rides out there, but it wasn't quite as pervasive as I think it is today. And I said, wow, that's a great idea. Like, when are we gonna do this? He's like, oh, in the summer. We got a year to plan for it. We got the whole school year to plan for it, which at the time felt like forever. And I was like, wow, we can do anything in that amount of time. And that was the beginning of it for me. So Chris, founded it, and I think he recruited his girlfriend, now wife at the time, Mandy, and me to be the first riders. But I didn't actually get to go on the ride that summer. That was a little disappointing. I had a job offer from a company, and they were also willing to send me to graduate school. And so about in the early spring, I had to back out of Texas 4000 because they, as a stipulation for starting, wanted me to start that summer, even though I probably should have held my ground, held firm, and said, no, I'm going to do this ride. But at the time, I really wanted a job. It was not the best economy back then. It was kind of rough out there for engineers. So I took it, and I never got to go on the ride, something I really regretted, actually, looking back. But now I'm happy to be helping Texas 4000. Been on the board now for about 6 months and looking to engage. So that's just I don't know, interesting story. We got a comment in here from Richard. He's somebody I know. He's owner of a Mint Builders here in Austin, and he is riding for Jen today, a close friend who was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. So we'll keep her in our thoughts as we're riding here. And thank you, Richard, for making that comment. So I guess let me go around asking a couple more questions, if that's okay. Emily,
Yeah.
what is your best memory so far of Texas 4000?
Yeah, let me just really quick. I think there's another comment coming in from the website. One of our teammates, mom's passed away last week. So just writing for Tree Schroeder, who is a dear personal friend to Stephen, who commented, as well as my parents. She did so much to make other lives meaningful, and we'll definitely be writing for her. Thanks, Stephen. But to get back to your question, you said favorite memory from Texas 4000?
So far, yes.
So far, I would probably say I really enjoyed training camp. So training camp is a weekend that we have in November of our fall semester in the org, and it's basically where we learn how to bike. A lot of us come into this org without a ton of prior riding experience, and so it's just the weekend where we get really kind of intensely trained for 2 days about everything, from road rules to safety, even just like, how to pace ourselves, how to ride with teammates. And so that weekend was just a really fun way, not only to get to learn how to bike better, but also just to get to spend some really intense time with my teammates, it kind of was also a little taste of the summer ride. We got to sleep out in this big auditorium, so it was kind of like a little taste of the summer ride, which I think is even sweeter now that we, don't get to be spending 70 days together this summer. So just looking back at that is a really happy memory.
Yeah, that's great. I'll ask more about that in a second. We got some other comments from Emmy, Colin, and Katie coming in, just giving us some love and some cheering for the Rocky ride. Thank you all for commenting on that. Everybody who's watching here, y'all can make some comments, and we will definitely call you out on the air. We got one coming in from Mac right now. He's asking to please ride for his mom, N. She battled pancreatic cancer for a year after he finished his ride in 2015, saying she was the best person ever and always wanted to help those around her. Thank you for that, Mac. And I'll just share here, I am riding today for my mother, Susan. She had a 4-year battle of many kinds of cancer. She had a BRCA gene mutation, we found out later on, and she passed in the end of 2018. But she was an amazing woman, and we all miss her and think about her. So today I'm riding for my mother, Susan.
Yeah, we'll definitely be riding for Susan. Thank
you. So you brought up one comment, Emily, and maybe I'll ask Abraham this question. See, when people think you're going to ride for 4,000 miles across the country, you must be in really good shape from the get-go. But I have heard that a lot of riders don't come in with a lot of experience. I mean, how important is prior riding experience through the application process? Maybe you can talk to us about the application process, Abraham.
Yeah, so coming in at Texas 4000, I'd say there's a whole degree of skill levels. I personally was not the best biker. I could ride a bike, but never did more than a couple miles. But in the application process, they emphasize that cycling experience is not important. I think supporting the cause and the mission is a lot more important. And so every Saturday we have a ride, and this is most of our training. And shout out to Bowen and Simon, really good Saturday ride coordinators, did a great job in training most of us. And so every Saturday we do this ride, helps prepare us, builds up. I'd say my favorite ride was the Pflugerville 50. I was very impressed by how we were able to ride 50 miles in 5 hours. Never thought I'd do it, but the support of everyone was amazing, and all of us made it through it. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's really good. So what was the longest ride you've done so far in all the training, Abraham? Is it that 50 miles?
So during the week, we get to do our own rides in different ride groups. I actually did a century once, so I did 100 miles. And there's a good chunk of us that have done that as well. But as a team, I think the most we've ever done is 80 miles.
Yeah, and on the Rocky route, what is the longest single day of riding? Just so everybody can understand just the kind of miles you put on.
I don't know personally. Maybe Emily has that answer.
Yeah, I think the longest is about 120 miles, give or take. But then again, it's through the Rocky Mountains, so quite a bit hillier than anything you can find in Austin.
Oh yeah, I know about that a little bit. So I've got a question for Alex here that I don't know if everybody watching really understands that part of the Texas 4000 mission is a lot of development here. So personal development and team development, and you're getting a lot of skills along the way. I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about the development program and how Texas 4000 is organized to really also create the next generation of hopefully philanthropic-minded individuals.
Yeah, I think Texas 4000 is an amazing leadership organization because staff really lets us do a lot of the work. We get to really plan our own ride and plan out the volunteering and the fundraising and just how, what are our goals at a team? What do we want to work on? What's our mission? And it's just amazing to see the team put in so much work and how much we get to grow together. It's just a great opportunity.
And so the planning process is not just 1 year, like when I was in school. It actually encompasses almost 2 full school years. Is that right, Alex?
Yes, it's 3 semesters. And
3
the
semesters.
summer.
and the summer between. So y'all have been doing, even though we're going on the ride today here in June of 2020, I think your journey on this really started back in like the end of 2018. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got accepted in November and we started in January of 2019.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work that goes into planning a ride, to the logistics, to housing, to insurance, to do 100 different things. You guys also even have the ability, Emily, to set some of your own city destinations. Is that correct?
Yeah, the cool thing about working on the travel committee was that we got to obviously, pick a little bit of where we stayed. So obviously the route deviates a little bit from year to year, just based on host availability and parts of the country that we want to go visit. So I'm trying to think of hosts that we had planned, but for instance, in Colorado, in Fort Collins, we were staying with one of our teammates, aunt and uncle, and just along the way, just other, family, friends, or people that have been involved in Texas 4000 for many years. We definitely get to, kind of pick our route a little bit, especially based on host availability. So it's just that process, even though we unfortunately won't be visiting them this summer, has been really cool because for a lot of riders, they get to have, little slices of home along the ride. So, people that they know and love and just really can support them, even when they're, 500 miles away from their home in Austin.
Yeah, and not just getting on a plane going in a day, it takes you weeks and months to get there. So getting that break and that little personal connection, I think is a really important thing. We've got a comment here coming in from Megan. She's saying this is very inspirational to see us on the Rocky team already pedaling today. Maybe Abraham, she'd love to know what character trait you developed because of your involvement with Texas 4000.
Yeah, so I'd have to say perseverance by far. I like to think I'm a strong person, but coming into this org, or I guess going through this org, you really learn what strength is. And I think every story I hear gives me the strength and the ability to persevere. So I'd have to say that's a huge character trait that Texas 4000 has developed.
I think that's great, and it's more relevant than ever with pandemic and social unrest going on right now. So I'm glad to see that. We got another comment coming in from Sharon. She says, thank you to the board and Texas 4000 executive team for guiding the team through the change due to the pandemic. I think that's probably meant for me on the board here. You're welcome, but the riders are the ones doing most of the work here. I think that it was, we held on. I know they held on to the last possible minute, even looking at truncated rides where we would start the ride further out and only ride for a month. But, they went right up until the end. So it's really all them. But thank you for your comment. And we've got Ryan, who's I think on YouTube here, says dedication is impressive. Thanks for the efforts against cancer. Thank you, Ryan. And Stephanie coming in, thanks the riders. You're doing great things. Get it done. So I think that's something she says a lot. And Chelsea coming in saying, this is fantastic. Everybody stay strong. So let's see if we can get through this whole ride here. Okay, so I guess one thing we could talk about, I think for everybody who's in the audience here. So as you're riding the bike and you're preparing for the year and a half, you guys are doing a lot in the community. This isn't just going on the bike ride, and we do get to some donations that we'll talk about in a few moments. But can you guys, maybe Alex, talk to us a little bit about how you serve the cancer community?
Yeah, every rider volunteers 50 hours in the community. So we do, I would say 90% of our events directly impact the cancer community and helping them. And volunteering is honestly one of my favorite things that we get to do. Not only has it made me closer with my teammates and getting to know them, but it's been really amazing to see and meet the people that we're riding for and reminding me, why I'm doing this and the people that we get to impact.
Maybe Emily, you can expand on that a little bit about maybe a personal experience you've had within the community so far?
Yeah, for sure. I think a really powerful connection that a lot of our teammates share is working with Lizzie Tennyson, who is a UT student who unfortunately lost her fight with cancer a few months ago. She was our connection with Be the Match, which is part of the International Bone Marrow Registry, and she was looking for a match. So we rallied around her and were able to organize several tabling sessions on campus. So to register, you have to sign up, get swabbed, mail your kit in so they can see if you match with anyone on their waiting list. And so that was just a really powerful connection to see, our work in action. I think sometimes when you do, more behind the scenes stuff, you can feel a little bit removed from, seeing, people with cancer and their families directly. But this was a really cool experience, to see a need and to really fight for that. Unfortunately, Lizzie did lose her battle against cancer because she couldn't find a donor, but that just really highlighted an area that's now being more proliferated. She was African American and also mixed, and that's one of the lowest donor people who register. That's one of the lowest ethnicities. So that's just again really something that came close to home and really highlighted, how cancer doesn't affect everyone equally and how we need to really incorporate that into our fight against cancer and our mission.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, for that. And we've got, I'm going to touch on that more in a second. We've got Deborah Green coming in, thanking us for sharing our stories. Thanks for sharing that, Deb. Thanks for calling in today. That speaks to, I think, one of the missions of Texas 4000 and what we end up doing with all the funds we raise. Treatment in cancer has been evolving a lot over the past, 50 years, really. My grandmother passed away from cancer in the 1980s, and back when she was getting treatments, it was one treatment for everybody, and it was pretty bad. And then, I got to see my mom go through this. In the last 2 years, things are getting more tailored and better, but I think there is a personal treatment program that has to be built, and it takes a lot of money to do that over time. And that's one of the missions of the Texas 4000 is to go out and raise hope, raise awareness, and also raise dollars to actually give. And we give in many ways. You can read about this on the Texas 4000 website. And if you are watching today, I encourage you to donate to this cause. I think there's a donate button on the page. You can go and do that. There's multiple ways to donate. You can do it with your dollars. You can do it with your time. There's merchandise that you can actually buy through the website. And we encourage that today. This is part of why we do what we do. And at the end of every ride, we actually do make a donation to multiple organizations. We got a comment also coming in from Scott, just thanking us, thanking us for writing for all those diagnosed with cancer and for their families. I think we're all touched in some way by this disease. Abraham, I'd like to shift over to you and ask if you can share a personal connection you've had in the community. I know I heard some good discussions before we got on the ride today. I was listening to part of that. Maybe you can share a little bit about a personal connection you had with the community beyond yourself.
Yeah, so I'd say a really cool opportunity I got was to participate in Be the Match. And so this was years before Texas 4000. I was at ACL here in Austin, and they're actually, they have a booth set up there. And I was waiting in line. I thought, why not? Let me join. So I did that, signed up, talked to the people there, and I was really impressed by how much effort they were putting into this program. And so I did some research. Thought it was really, really interesting. And it was kind of in the back of my head most of the time. But when I joined Texas 4000, we got involved with Be the Match. And I got an opportunity to participate in that. And I think it's something that everyone should definitely sign up for. It costs you nothing, very low effort, and you could potentially save a life. So that's something that's really important to me, Be the Match. So if you're watching, please go to their website and order one of their kits.
Is that website bethematch.com?
I believe it's bethematch.org.
.org. Okay. Just making sure we got that there. Okay, thank you for that, Abraham. I'd like to shift back over to the actual ride for a second here. Not everybody knows this, but there are actually 3 routes that Texas 4000 rides every year. I think people may not know why there are 3 or where the 3 go or how that even developed. Alex, maybe you can talk a little bit about, the different rides and the different, places that they go.
Yeah, we have 3 routes. So there's Sierra, Rockies, and Ozarks. And so Emily already talked about Rockies. We're all on Rockies. Mondays is the Rockies ride day. But Sierra actually goes west through New Mexico and straight up through California toward Canada. And so they get to kind of go along that coast. And then Ozarks actually goes south first. They go the wrong way. They go down to Houston and then come back around kind of on the east coast of the Cancer Belt and then back toward Canada. And then we all meet up on day 60 and do the last 10 days of the ride together.
And so I think maybe, Emily, why not do just one big ride? Why not do a ride with 100 people going in one giant pack? Why split it up on 3 routes?
Yeah, so we love that in having 3 routes we can reach more parts of the country. So I think in total we hit about like 22 or 23 states with having 3 routes, as opposed to maybe hitting 8 or 9 with just 1 route. It's really cool too. Like there's I don't say like something for everyone, but we have Ozarks that goes through the Cancer Belt, to major cities like Houston, New Orleans. Trying to think. I know they hit Chicago, St. Louis, some bigger cities where they have really cool hospitals, and also it's the area of the country where cancer is most prevalent. And then Rockies is really awesome because you get to go through a lot of the smaller towns that maybe don't have the same resources that bigger cities do. So people that have cancer there might feel a little more isolated and be able to talk with them. And then last year, which goes through some Native American reservations, and so just getting to see that and how their medical systems look a little bit different than ours. But also then again in some really big cities like San Francisco, Portland, Vancouver, Seattle. But yeah, just having to reach really allows us to stretch our mission and just be able to impact more people across the U.S.
I think that's really important. Thank you all for doing that, and for I think for everybody watching, part of the mission is to spread awareness and hope for cancer patients across the country. And there's lots of parts of the country, especially on the interior, that do not have the same access to medical care or prevention or therapies or in any kind of way. And it's great that we go through those cities. There's a beautiful parts of the central part of the U.S. I personally went on a bike ride a couple of years ago from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., through the Rust Belt, through coal country, through West Virginia, Maryland, and I got to see that stuff, in front of my eyes. And I thought to myself, man, we need to do more to get out into these communities. So we're not just sitting in Austin, Texas, going through the big cities. We have to actually get into the communities that need us the most. And so that's part of the reason we have 3 rides. It's to actually spread the awareness out around the country. And every time these riders are going through the cities, they are engaging with the community. The local news is watching and reporting on this stuff. And we're just driving a huge amount of awareness. And I think it's one of the biggest missions. I'm glad we're able to broadcast today because we did not want to sacrifice that this year. So we've got a couple more comments coming in. I'd like to just call out Megan again. She's grateful for the team, the dedicated ride here. She's asking to ride for all the caregivers who work tirelessly with their family members in battling this disease. I think that's a great point. The caregivers in all of this, are unsung heroes, the nurses, the doctors, the family members who are giving, and helping their family members. I think that's a great thing. And thank you, Megan, for saying that. We've got a comment coming in from Monica. She's thanking us for the dedication, the unwavering dedication to this cause. She's inspired by our ability to adapt how we can carry out the mission, and she thinks that will serve you all in the future. She's cheering from the sidelines. Thanks, Monica and David. And we got another comment from Eric. He's looking forward to hosting next year. He's disappointed he couldn't do it this year. I think he's in Steamboat Springs. You guys would have seen him, but he is ready to sign up and do this again for next year. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for that, Eric. So I think we'll switch over to Abraham. And, I got to ask another question here. I'd like to come back to the leadership program for just a second. And make sure everyone understands that Texas 4000, there is a small dedicated staff that supports the Texas 4000. It's not very big, and by design, it's really the work that the students do. And you guys plan it all. You pick your mission, your cities, you plan it all out, and you get a lot of development through this process. I know that there are chairs, there's a lot of subdivision on how the ride comes together. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so as you said, our staff is very lean, so we're able to grant a lot more money. And because of that, a lot of us take on leadership roles. I think almost everyone holds some kind of role in some capacity. And so we have a bunch of different committees that do a lot of different things. There's travel, there's gears that Alex is on, there's also fitness, and the one I'm on is finance and operations. So as I said earlier, I'm an accounting major, I was. So I joined the F&O team is what we call it. And so anything related with tracking donations, shout out to Sophie. So her and a couple other people spearheaded an effort this year to start tracking donations, where they're coming from, and started gathering data for future teams to help them out. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and most of us take on leadership roles because of that.
Oh, that's great. And so you said you're on the F&O committee, finance and operations. Which committee is responsible for actually getting the equipment that y'all used? What from the shirts to the bikes to the actual equipment? Who does that?
Yeah, so a lot of that is actually staff, and I know they work in conjunction with the BD team, business development, and so they work together, get some sponsors, and get all our equipment, our jerseys, things of that nature.
And so when y'all are on the ride, if equipment breaks down, what do you do?
So a lot of it is learning yourself. So throughout the ride, throughout our training, there's always incidents where you get a flat tire or your chain breaks, things just happen while on the bike. And so we have a committee that teaches us exactly what to do in those situations. So a lot of it is just learning, and when things happen, just going with the flow and trying to figure out what to do.
So a lot of self-reliance and just adaptability that you have to build on this kind of a ride.
Yeah, and they're called the equipment and gear chair.
Yeah. Okay, so shifting over to Alex, what committee were you on, Alex?
I am one of the gears chairs. Not
Can you tell us about
gears?
gears?
Gears is actually the mental health committee. So I talked about it a little bit during ride dedications, but our acronym is Giving Everyone a Reason to Smile. And so we really just focus on the unique challenges that come with Texas 4000. A lot of riders are balancing a lot of things at the same time, doing school and work and other commitments. And so we're just, we look for ways to support our team and prioritize their mental health and see, what guest speakers can we bring in? How can we help them? What are some of the resources? Stuff like that.
Well, that's super important, and I think increasingly so as science realizes how important the mental health aspect is to these kinds of endeavors. So I'm glad to see that Texas 4000 does this. Emily, I don't remember if you said what committee you were part of.
Yeah, so I was a part of the travel committee. So that is just doing all the routing and hosting and kind of figuring out what our day-to-day things are going to be looking like this summer. So anywhere from getting food donations to, looking at Google Earth and, seeing what roads are safe to ride on. And then I was also on the volunteering committee. So a big part of this org is volunteering. Each rider is required to do 50 hours of volunteer work throughout their 3 semesters in Texas 4000. And so that was just finding opportunities for our team to participate, as well as, talking with those event coordinators and figuring out how we can be most of service to them.
Okay, that's great. So all riders throughout the Texas 4000 program also do fundraising themselves. So in addition to the sponsorships that come in addition to the big gives, there's an individual kind of grassroots fundraising requirement actually to be a part of the program. Emily, can you talk to us a little bit about what the individual riders bring to the table for the Texas 4000?
Yeah, so every rider is encouraged to raise $4,500, which equates to $1 for every mile ridden. A big part of how I personally fundraise is through panhandling. So that's just what it sounds, standing on a street corner with a sign, asking for money. And at first that was pretty nerve-wracking. I think the most, similar thing I'd ever done to that was like maybe selling Girl Scout cookies door to door when I was 5. So it's definitely a little bit out of my element, but it actually became one of my favorite parts about Texas 4000. It was so encouraging to see, cars that interacted with you for, the 30 seconds they were stopped at the stoplight, and, get to, maybe share a few names of people that they would like you to ride for, and then also, felt confident enough in the mission, after a small interaction to actually be able to donate. And I think it was really cool too. We would, have past riders or, UT students or other people that new riders, just cheering us on. So I think it was a great way to just spread awareness too. But yeah, apart from that, it was also gave us the opportunity to reach out, to family and friends, and just being able to, do, letter campaigns, and just also to share our mission by, connecting with people that we, may not otherwise have. I know I sent a lot of fundraising letters, to friends of my parents who maybe I didn't know directly, but were really happy, to get a little update in my life and see what I was doing this summer.
Yeah, and that's a lot of personal growth. It takes a lot, and to get out there and stand on a street corner, asking people to give, to reach out to your family and friends, and not just say hello, but say, I need your help. You need to come help do this. That's I think super important, especially for the younger generation to do. I know that I do that a lot in my older adult life here, but I wish I had done more of that earlier. Abraham, maybe you can talk to us a little bit about how you raised money, or if you were doing the panhandling as well.
Yeah, so I fundraise through a lot of different avenues, reaching out to friends, family, posting on social media. I tried panhandling a couple times, and it sounds a little out there, but I think it is one of the coolest experiences. You get to meet people in your community, and they share their stories with you, which I think is really cool. I think there's 2 people watching currently, Ross and Karen Jennings. They recently donated to my page. I have no connection to them. The only connection I have is that Ross was an accounting professor here at UT, and they generously donated to Texas 4000, which I think is really cool.
Thank you for that, Ross. And Alex, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your fundraising experience.
Yeah. So a lot of riders do what we call the letter writing campaign. So we write letters kind of talking about what T4K is and why we ride and why it's important to us. So we mail it to people asking them to donate. So I send a lot of letters to family and friends. But a big way that I did my fundraising is actually panhandling. I went pretty regularly, at least about once a week. Shout out to Delisa for being my panhandling buddy. So we would go, and I just met so many different people through panhandling and heard so many different stories. And it was always so amazing to me to see how open people would be with us when, you just met them at a stoplight, and how generous they were and donating and supporting us. And that was always really encouraging to me. So it's definitely a great way to fundraise.
Yeah, and I think, I sometimes we forget that we are part of a community and that we all do need to come together for something. Certainly cancer is one of the things that can bring people together. I don't think anyone out there could say that they are a fan of cancer. So we got to look out for those, especially right now as a lot of communities are being relatively pulled apart right now, to remember that we all are, in this together, and there is no other way. That community aspect, I think, is one of the most powerful things. Getting out into the communities that you visit and you interact with is one of the biggest things that you do. And I'm spending a lot of time talking about fundraising because we're doing it right now also. I need to put another plug in for that if you're watching this and you're hearing the stories and you like what you see and hear, you need to visit the website, visit texas4000.org. You can donate. Do that right now. It's on the page. This money goes to fund research and awareness, and for cancer. The organization has a long history of making sure that your dollars get put to use. So if you are able to give and you feel inspired today by what you're hearing from Emily, Abraham, and Alex and the others that are riding with them, please go hit that donation button right now. So we'll shift over now. I'd like to know where it goes from here. You spent a long time getting ready. You're on the ride today, and Abraham, where do you go from here? You said you were an accounting major. What's next, and what are you going to carry forward from Texas 4000, into the future? Abraham's muted. Okay, we'll shift over to Emily. Maybe you can answer that question.
Yeah, so I'm starting my 4th year at UT in the fall. I'm a marketing major, so don't have solidified plans for after I graduate yet, but I would love to work in digital marketing. And I think so too, Texas 4000 has provided me with such a really tight-knit, close group of friends that, I will, that are some of my best friends now, and I'll be able to enjoy my senior year at UT with, and even beyond that. And I think in terms of Texas 4000, I love that there's a great alumni network and so many, opportunities, whether, it's, being in that alumni community, to maybe even something for being a board member. There's so many opportunities to stay connected with the board, even once you're, finished with your summer ride.
Okay, thank you. Abraham, I think we have you up now. What's next for you?
Yeah, so I'll be moving to Dallas soon enough to start working full time. But I think the biggest takeaway from this organization is engaging with your community. Doesn't matter what cause it is, as long as it's a good cause. And I like to carry that with me when I move and start working full time. Continue giving back to the community, doing what's right, doing what's good. So that's what I like to carry forward.
I think that's a great message. I think everybody should take that from today. There's lots of work to do in the community. Pick a cause. There's tons of them. Doesn't matter where you're at or what skill set you bring to the table. I promise you can be impactful. So Alex, what's next for you?
I still have one more semester before I graduate. But I think beyond that, I really want to keep the mission of Texas 4000 in my heart and continue to support and make an impact on communities throughout my life.
I think that's good. And there's lots of mechanisms for y'all to do that, not just in the Texas 4000, but wherever you are. So we have about 10 minutes left here in the live broadcast. I want to thank everybody who's been watching and participating with us. Thank our riders for being so gracious to ride the entire time they're on this call. I feel like I should be up on a bike now, interviewing you from a bike, and not just sitting here watching you do it. We're gonna go over a couple of things that we have mentioned. I think we have a bunch of new people on. I want to remember that we're riding for people. And Emily, if you could tell us again who you're riding for and why. I think we all have a personal experience that brought us to this table, I think, and that is the thing I'm asking you to share.
Yeah, for sure. I am riding for my neighbor Audrey, who passed away when he was just 5 years old due to leukemia. I'm also riding for my aunt, who passed away from breast cancer when I was 16. I'm riding for one of my dance teachers growing up who won her fight against ovarian cancer and has been cancer-free for over 10 years now. Those are, I guess the people that drew me first to this organization, just, knowing them, knowing about their cancer stories. But since joining, there's, endless names of my teammates, family and friends, people who I've never met in person, but definitely people that I think about when I'm, in a really windy or hot or sunny ride that keep us going.
Thank you. Alex? Same question.
My family lost 2 of my great uncles to lung cancer, so that was a big motivating factor in me joining P4K. And then beyond that, I write a lot for my teammates and their stories and their families and everyone I've met along the way. So many people who've inspired me to keep doing this and see it through. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I think the continuous feedback you get from folks as you're doing it's even more powerful than a lot. Sometimes the reasons why we got in. Now, Abraham, maybe who you're writing for today?
Yeah, so I originally got into this organization to honor my grandfather, but every time I meet someone, every time we have a ride dedication circle, I add more and more people to my list. So honestly, I can say there's a whole lot of people that I currently ride for. Someone I'm really thinking of right now is Kirit. I said earlier during the ride dedication, but she graduated UT last year, was battling leukemia while going to school, beat it the first time, and unfortunately her cancer came back and she passed away last Sunday. So riding for her and her family.
Thank you, Abraham. Wow, so recent. I'd like to call out another comment that we got in here from Sarver Strategies. They are again thanking the riders here for the dedication. I think everybody is actually really inspired that we aren't stopping. It would have been so easy to just not do this given everything that's going on in the world right now. And I know I personally want to thank you guys for continuing the mission here and getting it done, especially over the summer here. So thank you, Sarver. We got Suvi, definitely just a lot of love. Proud of you, Abraham. That was a good story there. So thank you for that, Suvi. So I got one more question about the ride itself. Do you guys know what city you would have been going through today? Emily, maybe Emily.
I was keeping track of them at first to a T, and then I realized it kind of just made me sad that we wouldn't be there. Well, I think we would be just crossing into New Mexico today. So, trying to think, I know we were staying Counselor, Coyote, some really small towns in there, places that we were really excited to ride through.
Yeah, I mean, it's you guys would have had a chance to get to see so many of these cities. I'm sorry you're not able to, but I'm very happy to see you doing what you're doing still. And all of you are graduating, but there are some riders on the ride here that are not graduating, and they are going to get the option extended to ride into the next year's. Is that correct, Abraham?
Yeah, so I'd say half of us are graduating, but the other half will be here in Austin, either going to UT or working, and they have the opportunity to continue riding and hopefully get to ride next summer.
Yeah, I'm pulling for them, and hopefully this all the pandemic is behind us by then. But at this point, I don't know how to predict any of that. But as we are rounding the last few minutes here, I do want to, make a shout out to some of our sponsors this year for Texas 4000. We have the presenting sponsor, Abbott Labs, and many other, from Pearl to Bicycle World, Hillcorp, Zebra, Cliff Bars, Giant Bikes, Park Tools, United Heritage Credit Union. Without the sponsorship from these organizations and more, this ride would not be possible. So I want to thank them. And there's a list of all the sponsors on our webpage, texas4000.org. This is super important for the organization every year, and I just wanted to thank you again for that. So I'm wondering if you guys have any parting words for the audience as we're coming to the last few minutes. I'll give you a second to think about that. I know I do. For those that are watching today, again, thank you for doing so. We do this every single day. The schedule is on our website, and you can feel free to join in and exercise with the riders as you see them doing this. Definitely consider donating. Again, I'm going to say that one more time. Go click that donate button. Every dollar counts. It's anything that you can give there. And if you are inspired to do more, you can reach out and contact the Texas 4000. There's contact information on the website. If you don't know where to begin, they have plenty of places, whether it's with the organization itself or wherever you are, they can connect you with the right people. Doesn't have to stop today, and there's never enough in this space. So every dollar and every minute of your time, it really counts. I want to thank you again for joining us today. My own personal experience with this has been very large, both with the organization and with my mother. So sharing that with me and allowing me to say that's very important. So Emily, do you have any parting thoughts for everybody?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to shout out the rest of our teammates who are fighting alongside us on a Zoom call. That's just, their encouragement is, part of what gets us through. And I guess also parting words, just a big thank you to all of our hosts and support across the country. I know that you've dealt with us a lot recently with our, 2-week, 4-week delays, and they've been so courteous and understanding with us, trying to change the dates we were going to arrive and stay with them to ultimately having to cancel the ride. Their support is what makes this ride possible. Welcoming in a group of, 20-some college students and just being so hospitable with us really is, a key figure in making it happen. So just a big thank you to them and all their support. And we're really looking forward to hosting and interacting with the 2021 team.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, and make sure you give those lessons to the next team. Abraham, do you have any parting thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, so once again, thank everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone that supported us for the past 18 months. It's really been amazing. I think a big takeaway, hopefully, that everyone gets is some motivation. So we're out here riding on our bike. Y'all are watching us. Hopefully it gives you some motivation to hopefully maybe join the cause or just get out there and do something. You can engage your community in many different ways. It doesn't have to be monetary. So I challenge everyone watching, get up and go out to engage your community.
That's great. Thank you, Abraham. Alex, do you have any parting thoughts for the audience today?
Yeah, I just want to thank our hosts, my teammates, our sponsors and staff, and everyone here today who's supporting us. It really means a lot to us to be able to be here. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Alex. So I think that wraps up my portion of this today. Emily, Abraham, Alex, I'm going to message you guys offline. I have some additional words for you. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us and with me personally. I think that's about it from me. Shelby, I pass it over back to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us today. It was a joy to have you, and thanks to Emily, Abraham, and Alex for your hard work writing. You guys have been sharing your stories, and we'd love to hear all of that. Also, again, as Emily said, shout out to David and Shreya, who are also on the Rockies route, who have been writing this morning. We are sending all of our thoughts to them as well for getting on their bikes as well. So Emily, Abraham, and Alex, thanks, and we will see y'all soon.
Yeah, thank you for hosting, Daniel. It was awesome to get to talk with you.
Oh, my pleasure. Y'all did all the work. Thank you.
All right, Daniel. Well, thanks so much for you joining us as well and sharing your stories. We've loved having you on. And thanks to everyone who tuned in with us this morning. We want to again shout out to our presenting sponsor, Abbott, for helping us through all of this and allowing us to do this virtual ride. And make sure you tune in again tomorrow so you can see more of our riders who are going to keep riding and fighting the fight against cancer through this virtual experience.
Thank you.